You never know when an emergency situation will happen. That's why the Fairfield Area Community Emergency Response Team, or CERT, is here. CERT is made up of trained volunteers ready to take care of themselves, their families, and their neighbors when disaster strikes. Through 20 hours of hands-on training led by local emergency management, members learn vital skills like disaster preparedness, fire safety, medical operations, and search and rescue. Join CERT today and be ready to make a difference when it matters most. New member CERT training will be on Saturday, January 10th and 17th, 2026. Both training days will run from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the Fairfield Community Center, 61 Water Street, Fairfield, Maine. The class is limited to 20 participants and registration is required. To register, email info@fairfield-me.gov or call to 07453-7911.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this regularly scheduled Waterville Planning Board meeting. I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the November 25th meeting.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor? And one abstention? Okay. Item number 2, disclosure of conflict of interest. Any conflicts on votes that you're going to take tonight? Seeing none. Item number 3, Newman Homes is requesting approval for a revision to a previously approved plan for 13 single-family condominiums on Meadow Drive.
Good evening. I'm Jeff Allen from AE Hudson Engineers. This project we saw back in January, and what we had proposed to do with a multifamily development was just have it private roads. At the encouragement of the city engineer, we've decided to build the roads as public roads. So if at some time the city wanted to accept those, they would be able to. The city engineer is inspecting it as if they are going to be. So what the whole meeting tonight was about, just some changes that we made to the site based on the differing requirements between public roads and private roads. In fact, the only change we're making is the road is 2 feet wider than we originally had it, the width of the pavement. We've now defined you can see the orange line here. We've got a 50-foot wide right-of-way through there. 50 foot is the same way, right-of-way width that we had on Elijah, but now we're putting this up on Jasmine Lane, which is the road that we're going out here. We still have the same number of housing units that have been approved for back in January. The layout's essentially the same. We've moved them around a little bit. As the development has gone on, we've got actual building footprints, so we've adjusted the size of the footprints a little bit. We're still just slightly less than 1 acre of new impervious area we're creating, so that's that keeps us away from the DEP permitting for now. When we move on to the next phase of this, we will have to have DEP, either stormwater or site location development permitting. On the screen here, you can see the orange lines are the new right-of-way. The lighter blue line is the building setback, which is in this zone is a 10-foot front setback from the buildings from the right-of-way. And so you can see all the buildings are outside of that 10-foot building setback. We've talked with, obviously the city engineer is aware of the changes we're making and is in favor of it. We talked with the sewer department, and they had received an email from them. I think, did John copy you on it as well, Mrs. Beveridge? That they had no concerns with the change. And the water department has had no concern with the changing this to a public way, although they do have concerns about the water, where the water system is going to be located. This is an embedded water system, which is a private water system from the existing Meadowbrook subdivision. If it is to remain private, and that's Mr. Roberge's idea, is that we'll keep it private. The water district needs assurance that they'll be able to purchase the water from the homeowners association, which is the Kennebec Water District's customer now.
Okay.
We have a letter that says, yes, you can purchase water from us, but the water district wants this homeowners association to become a sub-homeowners association of the Meadow Drive subdivision. And so that process is underway. There's obvious intent to do it, but all the T's haven't been crossed and the I's dotted to make that happen. So that is the intent, is we'll have public water or private water in a public system. If we do that, the water district wants us to not have the water mains under the road, because the city or the Kennebec Water District would not be doing maintenance on the pipes if it's not a public system. If it is a public system, meaning that we extended the water line down from Meadow Drive down to hook onto these properties directly, and it became a public water system, then they're fine with where we've located them under, I can zoom ahead here if you'll bear with me for a second. Right now, we're proposing the blue line is the water line. the green line is the sewer and red is electrical, of course. If we have a public water system and a public road, this would be ideal. If we have a public road and a private water system, the water district is concerned that they don't want to have the service in the road. In that case, this plan may be changed so that this is where we're connecting into the existing water system up here. That water system would branch out along the back of these properties, and this would go around the end of the road to serve these other properties. So we have a contingency one way or another, however this all boils out. But I think we'd like to go with our original intent that this will be a private water system. And again, we're building the road just so it could be accepted as a public road. This doesn't obligate the town to do this or the city to do this. We're just building the road to a higher standard than we had originally proposed. So that's really the only change, is just the expansion of the road right-of-way and moving the houses a little bit to get it outside the right-of-way. Do you have any questions? That water stuff is confusing.
Jeff, is the Kennebec Water District their public service, is it connected to these water lines?
No.
No, is this coming from the well?
This is coming from, it used to be a well up there. They did switch over and to connect to the public system. Kennebec Water District will be supplying the water through the existing HOA that's there now.
So the Kennebec Water District is connected, their lines are connected to the existing HOA? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
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 Okay, and but that water that's flowing from Kennebec Water District to the existing HOA is not flowing into this?
It will be.
It will be.
Our intent is that
Okay.
it will be.
Okay, it'll be hooked up in the future?
It'll be hooked up, but it'll be KWD's
Yeah.
here, the HOA, and then our system will be subordinate to the Meadowbrook subdivision.
Will the Meadowbrook subdivision's wells ever be disconnected from the supply?
I believe they are now.
Okay. They're already disconnected from the, okay.
Yes.
Okay. And have you spoken to Kennebec Water District about additional expansion? Because last time you presented, there were additional.
Right, they are aware, and I think Brandon said he sent them a copy of the full build-out, our concept of the full build-out, and they have capacity to serve that. It's just a matter of sizing the pipes correctly.
And if they do the full build-out and they have the capacity, would it still be a private water system if Kennebec Water District is supplying the water? Is it still?
It is as it is now,
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
Yeah, there's a private water system that serves the existing Meadowbrook subdivision, and what KWD is expecting will happen is we will become a member of that HOA, so we could then be billed for the water. But we'll be sub-metering for our property, so that, there's 1,000 gallons coming in, there's 600 going to his and 400 going to ours, and the cost will all be prorated like that, I assume.
And if you do it in the future, you do additional roads and additional houses, would that alter the proposed water line, water, sewer, and electric in any way? Would that?
Both water and sewer and electric are aware of the full build-up potential, and are, they can handle that.
Yeah. When you give your presentation, you talked about an alternative route around the houses. Would that
Right,
still?
if we are to maintain it as a private water system, which is our intent, that the water system comes in right up here. There's another property that comes in across here between the third and fourth house. That would be split off and go down to this one, and then around the end to serve these homes. This one would probably then go under the road to serve the next row of houses over there and make a loop, because water systems like to be in loops. But that's down the road. But yes, that's our intent, is to.
Do you know how long it's going to take to get the agreements in place?
I think it's pretty imminent.
Yeah, I mean, so we met with the, we met with the, we met with the existing HOA about it,
Yeah.
and they sent us a letter with like basically their terms, what they want in order to agree, and all those terms are agreeable to us.
Okay. And Kennebec Water District's on board with that?
Well, so we submitted that paper to Kennebec Water District,
Yeah.
and they're okay with that, but they want, they just want it drafted up slightly differently. They want it, you know, the one that was submitted to us was done by the HOA. They want an attorney to, you know, draft it up. And yeah, there's a tiny bit of language they want added to it, but essentially the terms that the HOA presented are all acceptable to us. So it's really just a matter of formalizing it. But so the attorney's working on that new draft right now. And then, you know, hopefully by next week we'll be able to get it to the HOA, and then I'm sure they'll have to probably have their attorney look it over, and then they'll have to vote on it. But at this point, it seems like we've reached an agreement.
Do you think it would be in your best interest to have all those agreements in place before you brought it to the planning board? I just,
Well, so
Yeah.
I think what we're after right now is just on the street. But one way or another, we're going to supply water. Whether if we weren't able to reach an agreement with the HOA, which does not seem to be the case at all, but if we weren't, we would just run our own line.
okay. Would you have to come back to planning board if you routed it a different way?
I believe so.
No? Okay.
Yeah, technically, it's a revision to the plan, so I don't know how you
Right, that's
deal with
what I was thinking as well, is if the site plan changes, then it changes, right? So if the way that the water's drawn up now changes, that's a change, right?
But the intent of getting the approval tonight is just to expand the road.
Sure.
Because, and KWD has said they're not opposed to using this as changing the road so that this could become a public road. And actually, once this change is made, we want to be able to start building. They're building the road now because we had approval back in January. Mm-hmm. And so they want to get as much done as quickly as they can. And when I spoke to Mrs. Beveridge earlier, there's another thing that we may want to discuss a little bit is with our approval, it happened in January, we have 1 year to start, 2 years to finish. Our intent is to have these all built by next summer and have people in there. Given the complexities of funding and whatnot, this is later than we wanted to start. So we may want to ask for an extension at this point rather than have to go back later. We have like a year left on to construct everything. And again, we intend to do it all, but it's easier to show up once and.
I actually have more water and road questions. So the existing private water system, is that the homes that it's serving, are those homes on a public road or a private road?
I believe they're on a private road.
And this road connects to that private road?
Yes.
And you're thinking that you might make a public road that the only way to get to the public road is over a existing private road?
Meadow is public? Oh, okay. Maybe if Meadow Drive is public, then this would be
I have no idea if it
public.
is or not.
I was thinking Meadow Drive was private, but the water system I know that serves all of Meadow Drive and Fieldstone, I group them together.
Do we know if the existing private water system goes under then a public road?
All over the place, yeah. There are multiple times it crosses under the road.
By a private system, Jeff, it's a pumping station, correct?
No, it's still a pressurized system from the water.
It is, okay.
But it's
KWD is not responsible for the maintenance of it.
right. It goes to, I think there's a hydrant, there's a fire hydrant that's on Meadow Drive, which is near where we're hooking onto. That's where KWD's responsibility ends and the HOA responsibility begins.
Yeah.
So it's pretty convoluted.
I remember the last time we looked at the plans, the fire hydrant was just outside, I think it was outside the current drawing, it's somewhere to the left.
Yeah, I think that's it right there.
And is that fire hydrant, is that considered a public? Is that considered on the public, the KWD system?
Right, this is the terminus of the public system, right here.
Okay.
And from here is where the private water system begins.
And you'd be connecting the new private system roughly to the terminus of the public system?
There's an existing line that comes down here to serve this lot, I think. And yeah, would be,
Okay.
but yeah, from wherever it ends, we would share, we and the HOA for Meadow Drive would share responsibility, beginning at the hydrant or whatever the terminus of the public system is.
Is the reason for the private water system, is it because Kennebec Water District doesn't want to expand their public system? What's the reason?
It was built that way by the developer that did Meadow Drive. I'm not sure of his reasoning. Maybe it was cheaper to build a private system than a public system.
But the new development, is it cheaper to build a private system?
It's always cheaper to build a private system because KWD builds great systems, but you pay top dollar for their, to meet all their standards, which, that's good. But again, we would always have, unless we went all the way back to up here, up to the hydrant to put in a new water main, that is a considerable additional expense.
Jeff, could you put back up the map that showed the water line?
Yes.
We're talking about the water line, in color, you had it?
Well, I don't know if I colored all the way to the end of it because I don't know exactly where the end is. Okay. This is the hydrant. Oh no, that's the electrical. This is where, as far as I colored, the blue is the water line here. So the water line comes somewhere around the back end of the building. Do you know how that goes?
Yeah, that lot two, almost where that red line for lot two goes up the side and then around the back. There's an easement right there, 20-foot easement, that rides that property line of lot two.
Okay, and this is,
It goes to the lot house.
yeah,
And there were already, so like when the previous developer built everything, he already has two stub outs coming along through that easement.
Can you
down.
use this? Does this work? Let's try. They'll make it easier than like switching
yeah,
back
you
and forth.
can,
Well, so anyway, that goes along the side and along the back, 20-foot easement. And the previous developer had already put stub outs to, his intention was to build all the portion of the development we're building now himself. So it's really just an extension of what he had already planned. But so there's already stub outs coming from that well house with the intent to feed this area with water. And so essentially we're just kind of connecting onto those stub outs.
What is the reason for expanding the proposed roadway and making it to the standard for a public road? Why are we doing that now?
Just because, just that way we'll have the option to be able to hand it over to the city, have the city plow it, we'll have city trash. Yeah, that's kind of the motivation.
Would the city, if the other roads in that development are private, they're all public too?
To my understanding, they're all public, yeah. The city plows all of it, they do trash pickup there, so yeah, it's my understanding that they're all public in there.
Okay. Any other questions?
I'm assuming that this changes nothing as far as the fire department access.
Actually, it does improve it a little bit. We have wider streets, but up on the end here, we still have a turnaround for them. There's a, I don't know if you can see through me or not.
Yeah, I can.
There's a turnaround there. So they do have adequate access.
Any other questions? Okay, hearing none. Entertain.
So, yeah, part of me is saying, after reading the last emails before I came over to the meeting, there seemed like there was still some confusion with KWD and the city engineer about maybe this becoming a public road, but then hearing this discussion, it's not that if this is approved, if this site plan's approved, it is a public road. There's still a process that has to go through. Somebody, I don't know what that process looks like. It doesn't have anything to do with us.
Yeah, we would have to
City
petition
council.
the city council for it to become a public road.
Yep, and then there would be further input from everybody.
Yep.
So I was thinking about saying, well, let's table this, but now I kind of don't think that that's really needed. Because at the end of the day, like you said, all you're doing is making the road a little bit wider and building it to a higher standard.
It's a good thing.
So,
Do you have something to add?
I don't know if I have anything substantive to add, but I thinking along the same lines of my colleague here, it's, with everything that's kind of still up in the air, it's rather ambitious. I would think that you think that you're going to start putting these houses together in a few more months.
No, we're starting now.
Yeah.
The road is in place. There's, on one of the lots at least, they're thawing the ground out so they can put concrete in.
yeah.
So the intent is to put concrete in now, get that started now, so they can close it in and work on the interior of the building over the winter.
And it's a lot easier to build the road wider now.
Right.
Than to then go back and say, oh, we got this approved, now the road needs to be wider.
Right.
Right. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, and we wouldn't be paving the road or anything until the homes are built, just because the equipment would tear up the
Yeah.
pavement. So it's, there's a chicken and egg thing that has to happen, but this is something that, we think is an improvement to the neighborhood. Better quality roads.
Yep.
Is your intent to still put the water system in the road, or is your intent to run it around in case you ended up having to go that route?
Exactly.
Yeah, I think, I just found out about this today, or I could have given you a revised plan for the road, but again, or for the water system, but, that's.
It was a request of Max's to do it that way. So we
Can
hadn't
you-
put any.
Dan can't hear you.
It was a request of Max at the Kennebec Water District to do it that way. And we hadn't put any water line in yet. So as soon as he mentioned it, we met with the excavator contractor and made the adjustments. So
Now, as far as the difference between a public system and a private system, I know you mentioned it's more expensive. Like, are you still planning on putting in a system that would potentially be able to be switched over to public if that ever needed to happen?
Once you put it in, the KWD doesn't want to support a system that's not in the road.
Right.
So you get A or B.
Okay.
So if the water system goes in behind the houses, KWD would not want to support it. If the system were to go in the road, then it has to become a public system. So it's
It's one or the other.
It's one or the other, exactly.
If the road becomes a public road.
If the road becomes a public road.
So you're really putting your eggs in the basket of the private system is
Well,
going to get worked out.
But this is why I was asking the questions about Meadow Drive.
Yeah.
If that's a public road with private water running underneath it all over the place, then
KWD standards
is it a
have
problem or
have
not?
been modified over the years, because
Yeah.
some of the, I'm not sure of the age of Meadow Drive, but I think they were done in the 80s, 90s,
Yep.
something like that. So KWD's new standard is to not support public or private lines going under public roads. But
But if
Yeah.
you put it behind the houses and then don't make the agreement,
well, if we put it behind the houses, then we have to just run a new water main to the end of our lines, and then it would still be a private system. So we're taking the gamble at this point of putting the water systems behind the houses, thereby deeming them private. And then whether we connect on through the homeowners association or through a new water main that we would install to tie on to the public system, it would still become a private system.
Okay. So this drawing, the blue line is actually going to be behind the houses?
Yes. It'll be.
Okay.
Yep. It'll go behind, it'll connect on here. It'll go behind the houses on this side and around the end and behind the houses here.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
And I don't, what I'm not sure about is, that's not going to change the site plan itself, because the water lines are not shown on the site plan, they're shown on a utility plan. And the site plan is what you guys approve.
Right. I'm just wondering if in the findings and facts, we have to make a note of that, Anne?
Well, I added the condition that
That Max,
Max
yeah, I'm
Kenny
seeing those.
provided, and it does refer to the utility plan.
Oh, okay, yep, to relocate yep. Outside, yeah, okay, so that makes sense. Okay. Any other questions? Did you have something earlier, Cassie, or gonna? Okay. We'll go through the site plan.
Sure.
Item number 1, the development will not result in undue water or air pollution on or off site.
True.
Item number 2, sufficient water available for the reasonable and foreseeable needs of the development.
True.
Never talked about water so much in one of these, have you?
This is the most intense I've talked about water in a long time.
Item number 3, will not cause unreasonable soil erosion or reduction in the capacity of the land to hold water.
True.
Item number 4, the development will not cause unreasonable highway or public road congestion.
True.
Item number 5, the development will provide for adequate solid waste disposal.
True.
Item number 6, the development will not cause unreasonable burden on the ability of the municipality to dispose of sewage.
True.
Item number 7, the development will not have an undue adverse effect on the scenic or natural beauty of the area, aesthetics, historic sites, or rare, irreplaceable natural areas, or any public rights or physical or virtual access to the shoreline.
Visual access. True.
The item number 8, the development is in conformance with zoning.
True.
Item number 9, the developer has adequate financial and technical capacity to meet the above stated standards.
True.
And then we have all of the conditions, including the new ones from the water district.
Yeah, and the second water district one was their request for us to revise the utility plan.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Do you know if they want you to submit that to them or them and Andy McPherson or?
It'll ultimately end up being approved by the Water District, so I think, I
Okay.
know we have to submit to them. I certainly could make a submittal to Andy and any other interested party.
It might be helpful just
Yeah.
to also submit to
Yeah.
Andy so that the city
To have
knows
you-
as well.
yes. Yes.
Any further discussion?
I'll make a
Okay.
motion to approve the findings and facts with the conditions as written.
Okay. Second. Wonderful. All those in favor?
There. And thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry for the long discussion. but-
No, that's fine. Thank you.
riveting.
That works so much better than making people go back and forth. How do I turn it off now, though? There we go. All right. You're welcome. And item number 4, City Council is requesting a planning board recommendation concerning revisions to section 7.1 amendments of the zoning ordinance. I think Ann passed around the ordinance to everyone. Do you have it, Tom?
I'm sure everybody has it.
Mine, and I'll grab another one.
Just a second. There it is. Just.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, you
Merry
too.
Christmas. Go. So my understanding, based off of watching the city council meeting, is that they're proposing, if they don't have the support, to send an item to the planning board for zoning change, then they wouldn't need to automatically send the item to the planning board for a zoning change if it doesn't have support for the change to take place. And so Bill Lee had revised this ordinance that they sent to us.
I'm a little confused by the wording of section B here, because it seems to say that if it has merit, they have to vote on it to send it to us, but if it doesn't have merit, they may vote not to, which, okay, I guess that makes sense. What I would like to see is a 2/3 majority. It takes 2/3 majority of the council to rezone anything. It should take 2/3 and not a simple majority to send it to us, in my opinion. That would be my only suggestion.
I don't have a suggestion, but I have a question as to what precipitated this. I mean, why, what brought this to us?
You want it?
I infer that it has something to do with the situation with the First Church, where the council initially did not refer it back to us.
That
No?
may very well be true, but I didn't receive this until the entire city council decided that they did not want to refer the request for rezoning for the school.
The charter school. Right.
Yes.
I think that's,
I think this actually could go back further than that to the Sacred Heart Church rezoning that was happening or trying to happen. But anyway,
Yeah.
those are 3 that have happened in the past, 4 years, that were kind of contentious, that the way the ordinance was written, it was, no, you have to send it to the planning board.
Yeah, so like with the First Church situation, originally they didn't vote to send it to us, and then they were told that was in violation of the ordinance. They had to go back and send it to us. And so recently, there was a zoning change recommendation, or request for a school, and they all indicated that they did not support this zoning change and they wouldn't support it if it came to them, but they were like forced to send it to us. So I think that's where it all kind of came from.
My concern is, I don't know if it sounds as if it's somewhat political or whatever, but it doesn't taste too good to me. What it sounds like is that whatever board it is, they don't want to take the risk of someone doing something different than what they believe to be the right thing to do. That's how it sits with me. So that's my concern. If we don't think it has any merit, we're not going to send it to them for them to consider whether there's any merit. I have a problem with that. So. Go ahead.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying completely, but this board only recommends to the council. So if you held a public hearing and you said, we think this has merit, we think you should approve it, the council doesn't have to.
And
Right.
in frequent years, they have not followed the recommendation of the board.
Well, and that's the thing, right? If there is strong opposition to something and they send it to us and we have a public hearing, you know, it doesn't really matter what we send them back for a recommendation because they have to vote and have a 2/3 majority twice to make that zoning change.
But my point is that it may not, as you stated, it may not matter what we say once it gets back to them, but the fact of the matter is that it doesn't end with the city council. I mean, they can appeal, someone can appeal to the Superior Court. So whatever findings that someone may make down here that someone up there may not like, the Superior Court's going to say, geez, you know, I agree with I agree with the planning board. I find that has some merit. That's just that's how I feel about it. That's how I feel about it.
There's certainly something to be said for, there should be a public hearing. Right? There's certainly something to be said for that.
If this has only happened 3 times in the last 4 years, is there enough of a problem to make a change, or do we feel like?
I don't disagree with you, but what bothers me is if you take a look at what those issues were, those 3 issues, that's what bothers me.
Yeah, no, and I'm almost siding with you to say if it's only been those 3, do we need this change, or is it worth just sending it through the planning board? I mean,
You know, another thing that we could say is that if somebody asks for a zoning change, why is the city council even voting on it today to send it to us? Shouldn't it just come to us and then we make a recommendation and then they vote on it? I mean, we could make that change in the ordinance that they don't even get to vote on it to send it to us. Just to have it come to us and then it has to go back to them and they have to vote on it. I think that's what they're upset about, is they were told that they had to send it to us and that they had to vote yes to send it to us.
so at that point, what's the point in the vote?
Right.
Right. And
This is just based on a sample of one, but within the past 37 years, some of this language was added because rezoning request went to the planning board without going to the council, and the neighbors were upset about it, and there was a lot of contention at the planning board meeting, and then the planning board made its recommendation to the council, and the council didn't want anything to do with it. So, yeah, that's a reason to have the council refer it to the planning board.
My background is, and I'm a firm believer that reasonable men and women can differ. And by doing what they're asking us to do, they don't want anyone to differ. That's how I feel, and I don't accept that. So.
I do believe that this is a politically motivated change because they don't want to have to be forced to vote yes to send something to us so that then people could say, you voted yes on that. It's,
I personally think it's a great way to be more efficient.
I agree with that too.
I mean, if the city council overwhelmingly already knows how they feel about something and how their constituents feel, it's a waste of our time and their time to ping pong it
How do
back
they
and
know
forth.
that if there's not been a public hearing for the public to have come out and spoke for or against it?
That's just the planning board part, though. It does come in front of the city council, right? People can still go speak there,
Yeah.
correct? Yeah.
But are there notices sent to abutters for that?
No.
So it's not technically a public hearing. It's just on the city's agenda, and the people that pay attention to the city council's agenda will be aware of something going before them.
This is for a no, like a consensus on a no vote, like something does not have merit. So like
Yep.
the
abutters
change
are
wouldn't.
almost never coming out to support a change. I mean, I've yet to see it, honestly, but I guess it could happen.
So
Is that not accurate?
what if we have a, is it called the Board of Zoning Appeals? Is that what it's called? Zoning Appeals?
Allegedly.
We have
We have one?
We have one, but they haven't met in years, and
Well, let's give them something to do. What if, because I don't like the idea of there not being any checks and balances at all. And if the council, again, I mean, 20 years in the future, who knows who's on city council and, you know, what decisions they're going to be making. You know, they could be shooting stuff down that shouldn't be shot down. So maybe we can put in a recommendation that if the person doesn't like the answer that they get from city council, that they can go to the zoning appeals board. I don't know. And that the zoning appeals board
that
could send it to us.
At the state level anyway, this is just the perspective that's been drilled into my head for the last 12 months or so, is that one of the biggest obstacles to building more housing faster is things like this. And I know that we're talking about something that is a no, so, you know, things that do not have merit, but I do think that it's important, whether or not we do it with this, that it's important to start trying to see places where we can be more efficient with city procedures. And the end. That's I think something that should be a focus. And whether this is where we start, you know, that's up to us, I guess. But I do think it's something we should think about.
So to me, that's a two-sided coin then. So we could do this, or we could remove city council from the beginning of it at all, which eliminates that step, and people can just come right to the planning board.
Yeah, I'm also fine with that. I mean, what's the point of going to city council if they have to refer it to us anyway?
Right.
If that's already a foregone conclusion, that is a good idea.
Well, you said that there was problems with that in the past, though, right, Ann? What were those problems?
that one time I mentioned that before we had this requirement that the council had to send it to the planning board, the idea wasn't that they always had to vote yes, but the language just isn't very clear. The idea was that the planning board can't take up an item unless it's referred to them.
But if city council has to refer it to us,
No, but what I'm saying is, I don't think that the council does. It's just that we didn't do a good job writing it, so people didn't understand that
Yeah.
back then, what we meant was the planning board can't take up something on its own. It has to be
so this is
referred
just
by-
a clarification of the original intent,
No,
correct?
they're
No?
changing the meaning of it because of what happened recently. reason.
Right.
Because they
Now
don't, they didn't understand the meaning of why this was written in the first place. But I've been here for 37 years, so I know why this went in here.
If I may.
So it's a matter of, we need to decide what we want to do and make sure we write it in a way that people understand what we mean.
The point that I would like to make is the fact that, you know, and I, with all due respect, when, as far as it's a waste of time sending it back here, the public has a right to be heard at every level. And I don't think there's such a thing as a waste of time. In my prior life, in making decisions, I would make 7,000 to 8,000 decisions a year. And in 7 years, that's over 65,000 decisions that I've made. And what I've come to understand is that not all of my decisions are final. They go from me, they go to Superior Court. From Superior Court, they go to the law court. So there's different levels, and at each level, the citizen, the taxpayers, have a right to address their concerns. And I just don't think it doesn't settle right with me that the council can decide whether they're going to send something. We are the planning board. They're not the planning board. But what really kind of ticks me off is why it came here. And it's on those three very contentious matters that it came here. It's not a matter of changing something from one way to 2 ways, or a stop sign here or a stop sign there. It was something, we all heard how angry some people were and how meritorious some of their arguments were. And I may have said some things that the council probably didn't like to hear. But I just don't like the taste. And my feeling is that we simply don't do anything. We just simply reject it and let the city council come up with something else that they think that I think it's their responsibility to come up with what language they want. I'm not going to come up with some language. I don't like what they've done here. And that's the way I feel.
Also, so Bill Lee's letter as well, what is that saying, Ann? Is that saying that to me, I'm reading, the language appears to violate the state zoning statute?
That's just the part about the contract zone. So you could eliminate the part about the contract zone and not make the other changes if you wanted. So in other words, where does that section on contract zone start?
I have it. So in B, right at the end of the first line, after the comma where it says, except for an amendment resulting from the action of the city of Waterville or an abutting property owner to provide for the reversion of a contract zone district to its original or comparable district. That's the part that is not allowed.
So you could eliminate that. But the idea initially way back in the 80s was that the language here now says, shall first be referred by the city council to the planning board. And what we meant was the planning board doesn't take it up on their own, and not that the council shall refer it to the planning board.
That they may.
They may refer it to the planning board.
Oh, fun. That's a fun conversation.
But the planning board may not take it up on their own.
And actually, now that we're talking about this, the reason something's coming to the planning board is because we have an area of expertise, supposedly, that the council is referring to us so that we can reflect on that in our area of expertise and reply back. So actually, ultimately, it doesn't, for example, in the example of the school, it really didn't matter what the city council's opinion was at that time because they did need our assessment, or they could have had our assessment of the zoning, correct? Of the, whether or not that was a,
On the school, the council didn't send it to us.
Right.
Yes, they did.
No, they didn't.
Oh, they didn't?
No, they tabled it, and
Oh,
then the
it
developer
was withdrawn.
withdrew their application.
Right.
But they were going to end up being told that they have to send it to us.
right, because we're the ones who
No.
can determine whether or not
That one,
the
I think,
request to zone, for zoning change was,
I think because it was a charter school, that's why it was so contentious, because we're a municipal school district and it's a charter school within our district, boundaries and all of this other
there were
stuff.
a bunch of reasons to, yeah.
Right. And so I think that one, again, I think that was a unique circumstance where, from the planning board's point of view, we may have looked at that differently,
Yeah,
and that's okay.
yeah.
That's why there are two bodies, right?
I guess
But-
I'm not understanding why it's such a problem for it to come directly to the planning board.
That's where I'm at right now.
I guess I don't understand what that issue was.
I say we cross all of this out and say that every proposed amendment shall go to, the planning board shall hold public hearings.
You mean every zoning revision?
Yeah, I mean, that's what this whole thing is, right? Zoning ordinance amendments, all of this other stuff. And just have it say every proposed amendment, the planning board shall hold a public hearing on amendments and refer it back to the city council for a report and recommendation. Like, there we go.
Just to throw in a little bit of history, a little bit more history, it used to be that people would come to me and they would ask, well, can you put this rezoning request through the process? And I was directed to send it to the counselor whose ward the zoning request was to be.
Can you see a valid, is there a valid reason why you would like to see it remain that way, or in your experience? Anything you can
No,
think
again,
of?
just based on a sample of one very bad experience. It's
Yeah.
it's more pleasant for the planning board not to hear something contentious if the council is not going to vote for it anyway.
But up until very recent, like, they always do send it to us, unless they tabled that one
Yes,
most
they
recent
almost
thing.
always send it.
But they almost always send it to us anyway, so if there is something that considers requires the expertise of the planning board, maybe it should just come to us first.
Or you could say, if somebody Dave, somebody said you could change it to may, the council may send it to the planning board.
Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with it not even ending, it shouldn't start there. It's more efficient if it just comes to us, right? I mean, it slows the process down by many weeks, having it go to city council, then them referring it to us. It's kind of ridiculous. I've thought that for a long time. And by having it go to us and then they vote on it, that provides that level of checks and balances, and then there's an appeals process for the developer.
And they go into their vote with our recommended expertise already.
Right.
Like,
Right.
expert recommendation.
So,
I just couldn't imagine something that is a planning issue would not come before the planning board.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
To give you a visual, and I don't have all the answers, but in the court system, there's a small claims court. It deals just simply with small claims. If the district court judge says it's going to come to me first, and I'm going to decide if it has any merit. If it doesn't have any merit, you're not going to get it. And that's what's happening here, and I don't agree with it.
Right. We're suggesting perhaps we get rid of this and start with the planning board. Since that
Yeah.
is just a formality that they hear it and send it to us, it's a true formality.
and what's funny about
They
this
aren't
whole
even
thing
allowed
is
to vote
we're
on it.
having a public hearing right now about making a change to an ordinance that we have to recommend to the city council that they have to vote on twice to make that change. And we're talking potentially eliminating that whole process. So, yeah, I say if the city council wants to speed things up and make things more efficient, that's how we do it.
I like that. Yeah. I just have a question about term vocabulary.
Your mic's not on.
Yeah, just a question about the term public hearing. Is that what we do here each week? Is that a public hearing, or is a public hearing something more formal where abutters are notified and announcements are made in the paper and?
Paper.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a much bigger, yeah, yeah, but it's.
Every time that happens, it is here.
Well, Ann can clarify, not necessarily.
Okay, because
When we're discussing rezoning one particular piece of property, I notify everybody who's in a butter, everybody whose property touches
Right.
or is across the street from that property, and I put a legal notice in the paper. But for this, there was no particular property under discussion, so there was no,
For this,
there is a legal
yeah,
notice,
for this
but
meeting.
nobody was invited,
Right.
meaning we're talking.
and nobody's here.
Right, but it was,
Yes.
it followed the
Okay.
rules of a public hearing. There was a notice that was put in the paper more than 2 weeks, right? Like,
So it's a much bigger process and publicly notified process. And I guess the reason I'm asking is because way back at the beginning of the discussion, I forget who, somebody pointed out that it's a lot of intricate public process if it has to go through those same kinds of steps and publicity for the council to hear it or discuss it,
But it doesn't.
and then it doesn't.
No, they don't have to notify abutters or anything. We do, but the city
Okay.
council does not.
yeah, unless we changed this ordinance to say that the city council has to hold a public hearing to refer it to us,
It would be horrible.
right?
Well, because then.
They don't hold public hearings for much.
The whole town is getting bounced back and forth, like.
Right, right.
And then the awkwardness of one saying yes and the other saying no, and then it going back.
So I'm,
Do you have a motion, Dave?
I do. My motion is to, I mean, I don't know what it's going to say, but to have the recommendation back to city council that they don't have to refer it to us at all. It just comes to us. So
That zoning changes,
that's,
zoning requests made to the city.
yeah, zoning amendment requests made to the
Originate.
city start with the planning board
Yeah.
for
Public hearing.
public hearing
And
with
then-
recommendation to council.
So instead of the council voting on it to send it to us, then we hold a public hearing. It just starts with the public hearing here.
Yep.
Okay,
And I'm sure
Is there a
that-
second?
Yeah,
I'll
that's my
second
motion.
that.
okay. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
And Sam, hopefully, in your first city council meeting, congratulations, by the way, you'll be able to explain our point of view on this item that you'll be voting on.
Yeah.
So, anyway, yeah, congratulations, and thank you for being our chair for the last 5 years.
Thanks. Yeah, a million.
Yeah,
Thank you. All right. Motion to adjourn.
second.
Huh? Yeah, this is my last meeting. Unless Ann throws one out on like the week of Christmas or whatever.